Welcome, Leo, to your in-depth monthly forecast for October 2025. I'm going to share some standout themes to begin with. Then on screen, your event chart, right at the beginning of the month, which always provides an influential backdrop for the whole period. I'll then go through each of the key influences frame by frame to give you a clear picture of what to look forward to this month. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, please help it to continue to thrive by doing so now. Please click or tap the bell notification symbol. As you come into this month, Leo, there are no players in your sign, but there is Pluto, the planet of transformation, change, power in the part of your situation to do with relationships. And Pluto is going to go direct at the heart of this month. Pluto has been in retrograde ever since the first week of May. If you have gone through some big, deep conversations or changes around key relationships during that time, it wouldn't be a surprise. But also at the heart of this month, Venus, the relator, moves to join in a wonderful connection with Pluto, but also the electric energies of Uranus. So even if there have been some very big conversations, perhaps maybe even major developments, there's a chance to start again, to re-spark your approach in your connections to others right at the heart of this month. But communication is important for us all, isn't it, all the time? And there are two lunations this month, the full moon of the 7th and the new moon of the 21st, that I need to share with you to explore how they're going to impact upon you. But as this month goes on, there is a greater emphasis on your home, emotions and family life. And there is the potential for some tension, to be honest, so I need to share exactly why that is. But as this month also comes to a close, Jupiter and Saturn, which when Jupiter first moved into Cancer in early June, came into immediate conflict in the middle of the month, they're actually coming into a great relationship as this month draws to a close. So I'm really excited to share that with you. But just before I go into that, I want to share with you about my unique offer. You can order your personal natal forecast for year 2026 now, and I'll give you the rest of this year free. But also you'll get 30% off the individual prices, and you'll get your life roadmap report in my special package. That really helps you to understand the patterns that have played out in your life so far, all of us. It's totally unique to each person, but understanding those patterns and matching them to the forecast will help you to make your moves in the new year much more shrewdly. But also in my special offer, you'll get your free general zodiac forecast for each of the 12 signs, but also your Chinese forecast, your Vedic forecast and your love forecast too in my special booklets. Please see the link below for more. So on the screen now, I'm sharing your event chart, and there you can see Pluto right on that 7th house cusp. That's because it's rewound 2.5 degrees from the maximum extension that it got to by the 5th of May when the retrograde began. And you can see that Pluto is in a fabulous trine with Uranus. Now they're both at this point of the month, as we go into the month, retrograde. But I think what they're saying to you is be very open-minded about the direction your relationships are taking, particularly around friendships. You may find that certain friendships will become a lot more important to you. And one of the things that I think you're going to be drawn towards is the people who are really authentic. Now that may sound like a very obvious thing, but we can all have, perfectly pleasant relationships. But I think you're wanting to connect to someone or a group of people that bring a spark of excitement in terms of what you're collaborating or what you're interested in, and that can draw you closer. But if we look at the position of the Sun and Mercury, they're in that 3rd house in the sign of Libra, which of course is about balance, but the 3rd house is about quick communications And remember, that is going to be a theme for this month. But if you look at the position of Mercury, it's very Gemini-like in the third house, quick, fast exchanges, but it's in a right angle with Jupiter. And Jupiter then is in an opposition with the Moon, so there is what's known as a T-square back to that position of Mercury. So I feel your communications this month could start off feeling quite optimistic, but something could come up and come out, perhaps from your subconscious, which could surprise you. And maybe it's something that needs to be released. And if you do end up opening up to someone in a way which may feel a bit maybe challenging, in the sense it may make you feel a bit vulnerable, try to go with the process, because the third house is about obviously those interactions, maybe also moving around a bit more physically on short journeys, perhaps exercise and so on. But it can at times be things like social media, and that Moon and Jupiter position suggest, even if a conversation seems, on the face of it, maybe quite matter of fact, it may contain a little nugget of insight which can be very valuable to you. So that's the starting position, but also just sharing with the position of Saturn. So Saturn's in the 8th house. So through to the middle of February next year, if there are financial plans that you need to attend to, what Saturn and then Neptune from the 22nd, when that inverts back into Pisces, are asking you to do is to work very carefully on the detail. So if you're trying to squeeze more from your assets, if you're applying for some borrowings on a mortgage, if you're investing in a pension or equities, I think Saturn's asking you to be very, very diligent on the details. But look at the position of Mars at the start of this month. It's in your 4th house. Now, Mars in the 4th house, in the sign of Scorpio, which it traditionally rules, can bring up some powerful emotions. So again, those conversations on the face of it may be quite equitable, Libran, but again, something can get discussed or you learn that can be very revealing. And that becomes more the case when we get to the 6th of the month. Mercury is going to zip through 3 zodiac signs this month, Leo, and on the 6th, dives deep into Scorpio, where Mars is. Now they're going to be coming into a much closer relationship as the month goes on. But I mentioned about the full moon of the 7th, and for you it's in the sign of Aries, which shares your fire trophicity, opposing the Sun in house 3. If you are in the mood to be a bit more spontaneous about breaking free and doing something off the cuff, perhaps travelling somewhere, that's actually quite an exciting full moon, I feel. It doesn't have other planetary players feeding in a particularly negative way. But I feel that what the Sun in the 3rd house can do is see us say things easily. The moon in the 9th house asks us to really think about what the meaning is underneath that quick communication. I mentioned about Venus being the star player for you. So on the 13th, she returns to Libra, which she rules. Going to be there through to November the 6th. Don't underestimate the power of your words. Someone could be absolutely captivated by you through to then, but there is that very powerful connection to Uranus and Pluto. So I think, especially if relationship matters have been tense, something can happen right at the core of this month. Could be around a contractual matter, maybe around an agreement with a potential customer, maybe applying for a job, but somehow or another you can convey who you are in a very effective way right at the heart of this month. Now on the 15th through to the 26th, Mercury moving forwards in Scorpio starts to get ever closer to Mars, and they come into an exact conjunction on the 20th. If something isn't working in your home or emotional life, the chances are you're going to surprise people you live with, family members, by being much more direct. You may even find yourself feeling a bit triggered at times, particularly about trivial things that maybe you've mentioned in the past, like, who does what in terms of the domestic chores. And if it's a message that you've diplomatically stated and still it's not being heard, you can be much more forceful about telling people how you feel. I think it's just important to know that with Mercury in the fourth house, it can be a bit subjective. Mercury is about how we think. The fourth house is watery. Mars being in the fourth house can be quite defensive. So you could be a bit prickly at the heart of the month or at the start of the second, third. But then we have a new moon in Libra. Now, new moons in Libra for you usually give you a wonderful opportunity to interact socially, particularly in your locality, whether it's with neighbours, people through any kind of hub, if you've got a shared interest. And it can bring those opportunities for you over the next month. But it's in a complex relationship with both Saturn and Pluto. So I feel this is a new moon that has some gotchas, to be honest. And of course, Neptune then on the next day inverts back into that eighth house, which could get you thinking very carefully about where you're most invested, whether it is emotionally, financially, spiritually, or even intimately. But on the 23rd, the Sun moves to join up with Mercury and also Mars in Scorpio. Each year when this occurs, it's your chance to just direct your attentions more to the physical structure of where you live. If you are someone who would like to start a local venture, provide services, take a hobby into something more meaningful, the next month could be promising. But if there has been tensions around relationships, the exact square between the Sun and Pluto, which occurs at that time of the month, may make it very, very difficult to deflect, particularly with that very high octane link between Mercury and Mars. So I think if you don't feel heard or respected around how you feel, you could be feeling quite militant at this part of the month. The 29th, however, sees Mercury enter its third home of the month into your fellow fire sign of Sagittarius. Not its favourite location, but for you, it's bright, it's bubblier. It just brings a different kind of vibe to the end of the month. But I want you to know that Saturn and Jupiter, but also Mars, come into an amazing link as this month comes to a close. If there is something you want to achieve around where you live, or you want to be in touch with a deeper part of your being and you want to convey that to others, you can do so with tremendous conviction. We're talking about three mighty planets. Saturn can be about our evolution in terms of our understanding of who we are. It's not just about hard knocks and making life more limited. And the eighth house can be very, very much to do with understanding the psychological domain. Mars in the fourth house could be about changing something to do with your physical structure. Jupiter in the 12th house is more to do with your spiritual needs. But they're all aligning really well. If you did move at the end of this month, if that's something you're planning, I think your timing is impeccable, and it could be an abode that meets your needs for some time to come. And if you have been feeling that some of your needs or the things you've been expressing earlier in the month have not been heard, I think there's a much greater chance of getting your message through as this month draws to a close.